This story is from 7 years ago, but a little older than that, because this story is as old as Dublin, because I come from a long line of very powerful, know their own mind kind of women. The day before the wedding, we had our little rehearsal. Now I have to tell you, what was happening in my family of me getting married in Trinity was causing all sorts of consternation. One is half of the family would be agnostic with a small a, and we're up for going up to the Hill of Tara to do the hand binding ceremony, which did happen as well. The other part of the family are rosary ravers, and they were slightly concerned about the whole idea of Trinity being Protestant. But when I said it was ecumenical, they were like, okay, that's cool, but we're not doing communion just in case. So people were coming into this church a little prickly even before things began. So there we were, all gathered, me wondering would I have enough time to go back with my sisters and throw on some fake tan and drink a little bottle of bubbly and then learn about the secrets of honeymoon nights, while I was standing there looking at the priest who was having a fight with the singer about why she shouldn't be singing Leonard Cohen's Alleluia, because that bit about being tied to the kitchen chair was not appropriate in the church. So I was letting the priest go on about that, and I was thinking my own thoughts. And then people started to do their readings. And when my brother-in-law-to-be, Mark Quinn, stood up to do the Song of Songs reading, the priest stalled everything and said, "I'm not sure about this reading." And I was like, "But why? Look, I had the pamphlets made up to give all the guests tomorrow." And he's like, "That reading, it's like the whole book, in fact, the whole Songs of Solomon is just like a big explosion of sensuality in the Old Testament. I don't know what it's doing there." And I was like, "I know what it's doing there. It is an explosion of sensuality. I want it on my wedding. It's beautiful, poetic language." And then, of course, I could feel behind me footsteps coming and hustles from the pews. And even without looking, I knew it had to be me ma and one of me aunties, who, Trinity or no Trinity, and how prickly they were about coming in here, were getting their back up against this priest. And my mother weighs in and goes, "I think it's a lovely reading, Father." And my aunt was like looking at him and sizing him up. And then my mother looked down at me and then looked at the priest and just let it go and said, "You know, Father, I think you might be being just a little sexually neurotic." And my auntie Betty went, "Sss." And Father Jim took a step back and said, "All right, so it can stay." And that was it. That's how we got this wonderful, sensual reading into our wedding ceremony. The following day, my beloved speaks and says to me, "Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away, for now the winter is past, and the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig tree puts forth its figs, and the vines are in blossom. They give forth fragrance. Oh, my love, in the clefts of the rock, in the covert of the cliff, let me see your face, let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. My beloved is mine, and I am his, for love is as strong as death, passion fierce as the grave. Its flashes are flashes of fire, a raging fire. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it." So after the rehearsal, I sat back, and I remember feeling the wood of the very Protestant pews in the chapel of Trinity College, but also feeling a sense of wonderful pride in my mother and in my aunt and all my aunts and all my grandmothers who had before had incidences of hissing at the priests. And I was delighted that they'd stood up for me, and it was a lesson as to how not to be told when you can do things or how you can do things, but do them because you want to do them. And I often think how sensual and lovely that reading is, and how it's carried me and my husband through now 7 years of marriage. And I sometimes wonder, is it because of the Song of Songs, that beautiful reading that my mother and aunt fought to have read at my wedding, that 9 months and 3 days after that little incident of hissing at the priest, I had a new baby in my arms, because we did have an explosion of sensuality all through our honeymoon. It was great.